we have an awesome new set photo of Avengers Doomsday. This set photo shows Ben Grimm, aka The Thing from the Fantastic Four, with Danny Ramirez, aka the new Falcon, John Walker, aka US Agent, and possibly one other character. There's a mysterious foot in one of the photos, but this photo does line up with one of the plot leaks that we have recently heard for Avengers Doomsday, seemingly confirming that it is true. And it is definitely one of the better plot leaks that we've heard about, so I'm really excited that this photo does give us a lot of evidence for this. And of course, we'll go over the plot leak again. Now, a lot of people are actually asking, how did this get out? This is very clearly a set photo taken by somebody who is very actively on the set. So Marvel Studios could probably figure out who leaked this pretty easily, but here's the thing.
I'm doing that weird thing with your face.
Oh, we don't know what you're talking about.
But for real, here's the thing. Marvel probably had them put this out there on purpose, because you could very easily tell who released this photo to the public just by looking at the photo. You would know everybody who was on set at that point in time, and you could figure out who did it. So since Marvel Studios is skipping SDCC Hall H this year, I do believe we're going to see things like this that they actually are planning. I do think this was probably intentional. Of course, we can't know for sure, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, as far as the plot leak that this photo seemingly concerns, there's a big one, this one that's been going around, that's gotten a lot of attention, and it's one that I thought is probably how the movie is going to go. And we actually have two different reports seemingly confirming the same thing. Plus now this new set photo. This is coming from the insider James Mack, who claims that he was the source who leaked the script for Multiverse of Madness, which ended up being proven true when the movie came out. According to him, members of the design team for Avengers Doomsday are working on concept art related to a major battle at Mansion X, and one piece of artwork is titled Invincible Avengers. And here's what they stated they learned. In Avengers Doomsday, this team, referring to the Invincible Avengers, is tasked with resolving the incursion between two worlds and rescuing Monica Rambeau. These heroes, along with other characters from that universe, later protect Loki at the Citadel after finding the TVA and Doctor Doom's plan. And this actually lines up with a very recent plot leak that we heard a few days ago. So it sounds like it's all really starting to come together. But it continues and says, the team members include Sam Wilson, Thor, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, Ant-Man, Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Bob, aka Sentry, Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, Shuri, M'Baku, Namor, or Namor as they called him in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and the Fantastic Four, who joined the mission because Doom kidnapped the son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, Franklin Richards, and took him to a place called Universe X. Meanwhile, John Walker, Ghost, and Red Guardian remain on Earth 616 alongside other Avengers to protect the planet from an unknown invasion. The remaining Thunderbolts unite with Wakanda, Talokan, and the Sorcerers led by Wong to help defend Earth. Meanwhile, somebody else corroborated this leak but said that only Reed and Sue go to the X-Men universe. Ben and Johnny stay behind, which would explain this photo. We see the Thing with John Walker. Also, our new Falcon, who was not mentioned to be a part of the Invincible Avengers team. In fact, it sounds like pretty much everybody a part of the Invincible Avengers team has some type of powers or tech that makes them really strong, except for Yelena Belova. She's the only one kind of an oddball there. And maybe Sam Wilson as well, but we have Thor, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, he has the rings, Ant-Man of course has the Ant-Man suit, Jennifer Walters is a Hulk, Bucky Barnes is a super soldier, Bob is the Sentry, so I'm assuming we're actually going to see him come out again, which does put him at risk of the Void coming back, but Bruce Banner's the Hulk, Shuri is Black Panther, and M'Baku is just crazy strong, but technically I guess he doesn't really have any powers, but we also have Namor and the Fantastic Four, and they do have powers. Namor is a mutant and he can fly, so yeah. But Sam and Yelena are the leaders of the two different Avengers teams. The new Avengers with a Z, Yelena's team, the Thunderbolts really, and then we have our kind of true new Avengers led by Sam Wilson. And I'm sure M'Baku is there because he's going along with Shuri. But the leak continues and talks about kind of a big story going on Earth that is separate from the Invincible Avengers. So the Invincible Avengers go to save Monica, and this is going to be the team that is most likely going to give us that Avengers versus the X-Men team. They're the ones going to the X-Men universe to get Monica, and it sounds like, based on the set photos that we've seen and what we've heard, Dr. Doom is going to be attacking the X-Mansion using Sentinels to do so, or possibly Doombots. We'll have to wait and see on that. So when the Avengers arrive, they're most likely going to be viewed as a threat as well, and this is the team that will fight them. Sam, Yelena, Bucky, Shuri, Namor, M'Baku, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, Reed and Sue, and then your big guns, Thor, Captain Marvel, Sentry, the Hulk, and She-Hulk. That is seemingly the team that is going to go up against the X-Men, at least for a little bit in this film. And in this leak, it even says that is indeed what happens. They fight the X-Men. But meanwhile, John Walker, Ghost, Red Guardian, Falcon, The Thing, the Human Torch, Wong, and the armies of Kamar-Taj, Wakanda, and Talokan stay on Earth to fight an invasion. Now, I think, and I personally hope, that this invasion is some sort of a combination between Doombots and an Avengers team that Doom himself has created, or a following that he has gathered, because that is what happens in the comics. He gets a little bit of a following of people who are trying to help his cause, and originally that cause is to save the multiverse, which is another thing that we have actually heard about Doom. He believes himself to be the hero, much like Thanos did. But unfortunately, it sounds like the solution to saving the multiverse is also something that could potentially destroy the entire multiverse, and that has to do with Loki at the Citadel. Now, we've actually heard from a lot of different insiders about Loki and his role in Avengers Doomsday. It's not supposedly going to be a super massive role, like most of the film's not going to focus on Loki's character, but at the end, he is going to be an incredibly important part to the overall multiverse, which makes sense. We're not going to focus on Loki just sitting on a throne at the end of time in the Citadel. We're going to focus on Dr. Doom and the multiple teams that are trying to stop him. The Avengers, the X-Men, the Wakandans, the Fantastic Four, etc. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I do like the idea of having these separate teams. It reminds me of what the Russo brothers did for Avengers Infinity War, and to me, that is one of the best superhero movies we've ever got of all time. The formula clearly worked for Infinity War, so if it's not broken, don't fix it. But this does seem to be part of that team that they talked about was going to remain on Earth 616. John Walker, Falcon, and The Thing are in this photo, and they are part of the group that was mentioned in the leak that stays behind. John Walker, Ghost, Red Guardian, The Thing, the Human Torch. They get together with Wakanda, Talokan, and the Sorcerers led by Wong. That sounds like a pretty awesome scene in its own as well. And if that scene is of them going up against a bunch of Doombots and possibly variants of characters that we have known and love over time, it's gonna be a hell of a scene. So is the Avengers versus the X-Men. And reportedly, which this leak does say as well, as along with many others, it all kind of ends at the TVA, at the Citadel with Loki. And we've heard reports that there's going to be a huge battle at the TVA, and this battle will include many different multiversal variants of many known characters. And I'm sure it'll include a combination of characters that we've just seen throughout time in the MCU, and some that we haven't seen in the MCU yet, like maybe some X-Men, maybe some Inhumans, who knows? But I also bet it's probably going to feature a lot of famous actors playing those roles. Now, those roles might be for even just a few seconds on screen. It's going to be a giant battle, but the cameos should be cool. And a giant battle inside of the TVA, that sounds really cool as well. Till ultimately they have to get beyond space and time and they get to the Citadel. And who knows how that really goes down, but we're pretty sure it ends with Doom dethroning Loki. That's how we get the destruction of the multiverse, by Doom removing Loki because he's holding the whole entire multiverse together. And that's how Doom creates Battleworld, which I believe is going to simply just be the Void, but he will rule over it as God Emperor Doom, kind of like Cassandra Nova did, but on a much, much bigger scale. And this seems to be what we are getting for Avengers Doomsday. Again, this leak is backed up by this new set photo. So it really seems like this leak could be true. If it is, what do you think about this? Granted, there's a lot left out in this. It's kind of a general outline of what's going to happen, but if this does happen, what do you think? Would this be exciting to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel videos. And you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.